This is Our Time on Freedom. In the studio, Mikhail Baranov. Hello. Emergency crews in the Chernihiv region are unable to begin work on restoring power due to continuous strikes by Russian drones. This was reported by Ukraine's Ministry of Energy. Last night, the Russians launched a massive attack on the region with drones and ballistic missiles. Heating and power supply facilities have been damaged. Chernihiv and the northern part of the region have been left without power. Critical infrastructure has been switched to generators.
The Russians are deliberately launching drones that continuously circle over the damaged sites, making it impossible to safely carry out repairs and intentionally prolonging the humanitarian crisis. This is a deliberate act of terrorism. There are no military targets in the area of the affected energy facilities. Russia is deliberately targeting infrastructure that ordinary people's lives depend on. Against the backdrop of these barbaric actions, the Russian leadership's claim that their targets are exclusively military looks especially deceitful. From statements by Ukraine's Ministry of Energy on Telegram.
Russian invaders struck critical infrastructure, and in the Cherkasy region, rescuers have already extinguished fires at a facility that was damaged as a result of the attack. According to the regional military administration, in the Smila community, drone debris destroyed a street transformer. There is also damage to residential infrastructure. The Russian tactic is killing people and terrorizing them with cold. This is how President Volodymyr Zelensky responded to the overnight shelling of Ukraine. According to him, despite the difficult situation, restoration work is currently ongoing in the Chernihiv, Sumy, and Zaporizhia regions. The necessary resources are available, the president noted, and emphasized that every region is doing everything possible to restore power supply.
With winter approaching, literally every day the Russians strike our infrastructure, our energy sector. Only pressure on Russia can fix this and stop it. Only sufficient range in our defense brings Putin back to reality. This war needs to end, and only pressure will lead to peace. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
The Russian army once again struck Kharkiv with aerial bombs. At night, the Russians launched several glide bombs at civilians. As a result, homes were destroyed and damaged. In the private sector, 11 people were injured. Our correspondent Natalia Belakudria will tell you more.
It's been boarded up since then. There was glass here. I came and replaced it. I closed the plastic windows, but today everything's broken again.
Pensioner Natalia shows the aftermath of the Russian army's attack in the private sector. Her house was damaged too. This isn't the first time this street has been shelled.
We were sleeping. Around midnight, something started buzzing. There was a flash, then a huge bang, and everything came crashing down, even the glass. A few minutes later, there was a second blast, and that was it. We all fell to the ground. One of my ears went deaf. They're already patching up the roof. All the windows have been boarded up, and the doors are smashed.
Natalia said that after the strike, a fire broke out. Together with her neighbor, she called for medics and rescuers.
The ambulance provided assistance. People's blood pressure was high. Everyone was on edge. There's a woman who lives here. She has diabetes. She was feeling really bad. They actually had to carry her out of the house in their arms.
Throughout the night, the aftermath of the shelling was being dealt with. Utility services are also working at the scene. According to the Kharkiv Regional Prosecutor's Office, Russian aviation shelled 2 districts of the city overnight. In one of them, a strike hit an industrial facility. In the other, more than 10 private homes were damaged. Natalia Belakudria and Andrei Domovoy from Kharkiv, reporting for Freedom TV channel.
Overnight into Tuesday, Russia launched nearly 100 drones and 2 Iskander-M ballistic missiles at Ukraine. The defense forces neutralized 58 drones of various types. According to the Ukrainian Air Force, Russian missiles and UAVs struck 10 locations. In 2 more locations, debris from downed aerial targets fell. Kherson is once again under Russian shelling. At night, Putin's army attacked the port area of the city with drones. 3 residents were injured and hospitalized. At noon, in the same area, the Russians used a drone to strike a car. A woman and a man were injured. More details in our next report.
Last night, the Russian army attacked the port area of Kherson with Shahid drones. Residential neighborhoods were affected. Right now, I am at a school that was almost completely destroyed by Russian drones. As of now, the situation is as of 12 o'clock p.m. It is known that 3 people were injured. They are currently in the hospital.
Marina's office was completely demolished.
It's good that no one was here.
Yeah, it's good. At least somewhere it was empty. Just imagine if someone had been here. Well, only Sasha went there.
He's in the hospital now, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's what they're saying.
As a result of the Russian army's attack, 2 wings of the district school were completely destroyed. The floors between the stories collapsed all the way down to the foundation. Not a single classroom survived. The walls, windows, and roof are all destroyed.
They smash everything. They smash and destroy.
What happened last night?
The Shahids destroyed absolutely everything they could.
Your school? There was a resilience center operating at the school. Here, civilians could hide from shelling and receive necessary humanitarian aid. I sent
a volunteer from Europe. All this humanitarian aid was sent by volunteers from Europe. From here, it was distributed to people. I live nearby. My house was shaking too. It was scary. And when they told me that the school was basically gone, I saw it for myself in the morning.
And next to it is the security room. There are 2 rooms here. The wall collapsed there, and now it's a different classroom. Suddenly, it became a big classroom.
Another wing of the school was also damaged by the drone strike. Here, too, the floor slabs collapsed, all the windows and doors were blown out, and the facade was destroyed.
The owner is taking her flowers back, but she gave them to me to keep safe. They're going to shake with fear now. I go out onto the balcony. My balcony is open. I even scolded myself for it. Damn it, Tanya, come on. It's not even summer. I should have checked and closed it. You know, I blamed myself, even without any reason. Then I read what Marina wrote, and I realized I didn't connect it all right away. And only when we were on our way, as I was walking here, did it all come together.
In total, in the Korabelny district after the shelling, for apartment buildings and just as many private houses were damaged. Cars burned down. Rescuers are still putting out the fire. Bomb disposal experts, police, and utility services are still working at the site of the strike. The aftermath is still being dealt with. Daria Litovchenko for Freedom TV channel.
The Ukrainian Defense Forces eliminated 1,130 Russian occupiers over the past day. Thus, since the start of the full-scale invasion, Russian army losses have already exceeded 1,132,000 soldiers. In addition, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 8 tanks, nearly 40 armored combat vehicles, more than 20 artillery systems, 200 drones, and over 130 units of enemy automotive equipment were destroyed yesterday. In total, there were more than 200 combat engagements on the front line over the past day. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the largest number of Russian attacks, 76, were repelled in the Pokrovsk direction. Another 26 assaults were repelled in the Alexandrovsk sector of the front, 22 in the Konstantinovsk sector, and 20 in the Orkhov sector. In total, Russian occupiers unsuccessfully attempted to advance in 12 directions in the east and south of Ukraine.
The directions of the main strikes have not changed, but the weather conditions are changing. Autumn is coming, which, together with the form of defense in Ukraine, determines the enemy's tactics. Here are the key points. First, the density of our defense. Second, the firepower capabilities of our defense. This includes artillery, other means of destruction, and drones as well. They don't care about their people, and they don't care about their equipment either. That's their calculation. Even if just a part of the way, these soldiers will rush through on armor that's disposable, it'll be destroyed.
The servicemen and maritime guards of the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine operate on land, in water, and underwater, regardless of weather conditions or the complexity of their tasks. The formula for success is real combat experience and constant training. How the Maritime Border Guards went through selection for the Special Forces Unit is covered next in a report by our colleagues from Cordon UA.
In full gear and in conditions close to real combat, this is how the servicemen of the Special Operations Unit of the Maritime Guard of the State Border Service conduct their training.
In 2022, all I knew was the Kalashnikov rifle and that it shoots. Today, I know the range of weapons I've handled. They differ from Soviet ones, from Ukrainian manufacturers, and from NATO variants and standards. I've seen and held many types of weapons. I know how to shoot them, how to use them properly, disassemble, repair, and maintain them. So, this is a level, it's personal growth above all.
The requirements for candidates to this unit are very high. The commanders say that here, they need people who have a goal, discipline, and a desire to work as a team.
First and foremost, a person must have the right moral principles, be physically fit, and know what they want from their future life. We don't need people without a purpose.
People with different backgrounds serve here. Some have already served in other units, while others came from civilian life. Serving, you saw.
Serving in the Special Operations Unit is already something to brag about, because it really is a combat unit, a part of which is constantly preparing for battle, training, flying UAVs, both rotary and fixed-wing types, and constantly conducting exercises at training grounds. That means clearing trenches, shooting, working in pairs. This is already something to be proud of.
The tactics of the invaders are constantly changing. That's why the Maritime Border Guards hone their combat skills every day and become stronger, so they can respond to the new challenges of Russia's war against Ukraine.
Negotiations between Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov and U.S. Secretary of State Rubio have collapsed. Their face-to-face meeting, which was supposed to lay the groundwork for a Putin-Trump summit, has been postponed. CNN reports this, citing sources in the White House. The official reasons have not been named, but according to the publication, the sides' expectations about a possible end to the war diverged sharply. After the phone conversation between Lavrov and Rubio in Washington, it was decided that Moscow had not budged from its inflated demands. CNN notes that the Secretary of State is unlikely to support holding a Putin-Trump summit next week in Budapest. Meanwhile, the Financial Times reports that Rubio and Lavrov may still meet in person for negotiations on October 30th. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov stated that the Kremlin is refusing a ceasefire, noting that supposedly this was not what Putin and Trump agreed upon during their meeting in Alaska. This is how official Moscow responded to the U.S. president's calls to stop the war along the current front line. Lavrov stated that the Russians will not talk about peace until the so-called root causes of the conflict are resolved. And he repeated a number of Kremlin narratives. The Center for Countering Disinformation under the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine stated that Moscow is stalling for time and testing Donald Trump's patience by repeating old arguments about the root causes of the conflict. After all, the real reasons for the start of the war against Ukraine should be sought within Russia itself.
In reality, the root causes are Russia's imperial model of existence and the course Moscow has chosen since 1991. They do not want to address their own reasons. That is why only physical, not verbal, blows to Russia can change its position.
Subscribe to The Gaze and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.